Can you imagine a Formula One without DRS, with smaller, lighter cars, but with electric motors that dominate the power? What if I told you that all of this is now official and will arrive in 2026, although the pilots themselves harshly criticize it? Subscribe to continue uploading more of this type of content now, if we continue. Formula One is about to undergo one of its most drastic transformations in recent history, possibly in its entire modern existence. From 2026, the FIA will introduce changes so radical that they change the basis of competition, affecting everything from car design to engine technology. These new regulations have been officially confirmed, but not all members of the paddock are celebrating the news. While some celebrate the innovation, others, especially drivers, have expressed frustration at what they see as excessive modification of what makes F1 unique. One of the most impressive aspects is the complete renovation in the aerodynamic design of the cars, which not only changes the appearance of the cars, but also alters the way they behave on the track. Since 2011, drivers have used DRS, drag reduction system, to facilitate overtaking, a technology that, although efficient, has been seen by many as a temporary solution to encourage overtaking. In 2026, this tool will be removed completely, and in its place, an active aerodynamic system will be introduced, which involves a total change in the way cars interact with the air. This active system will allow drivers to modify the configuration of their car's wings while racing. Unlike DRS, which only affects the rear wing and is activated only when the drivers are less than a second from the car in front, the active aerodynamic system will affect both the front and rear wing. This will offer drivers more dynamic control over the car, allowing them to adjust downforce and drag as they progress through each lap. There will be two key modes that drivers can switch between: Z mode or corner mode, which increases downforce to improve cornering stability, and X mode or straight line mode, which reduces drag to achieve higher top speeds on the straights. This system is, in essence, a big leap from what we have known in more than a decade of using DRS. This change in aerodynamics not only alters how the cars handle on the track, but also has a direct impact on the speed of the cars. The FIA has decided to reduce downforce on the 2026 cars by between 15% and 30%, which may seem like a significant loss of grip, especially in corners. However, this decrease is offset by an even greater reduction in drag, up to 40%. Despite the loss of downforce, the 2026 cars will have higher speed on the straights, which will change the dynamics of racing. Instead of relying on DRS that only helps in overtaking zones, drivers will have to actively manage their car's aerodynamics throughout the entire lap, adding a new level of complexity and challenge. The wings will also undergo a significant transformation. The front wing will be narrower, reduced by 100 millimeters, and have a 3-element configuration, incorporating 2 movable flaps that will allow mode changes during the race. For its part, the rear wing will lose the beam wing, a modern-era feature used to manage air turbulence, and will also adopt a 3-active element system. This change aims to improve the car's ability to follow each other closely without losing too much aerodynamic efficiency, which could open the doors to more track battles and overtaking. In addition to these changes to the wings, the FIA has also decided to make adjustments to the physical dimensions of the cars. With the aim of making the cars more agile and maneuverable, the wheelbase will be reduced by 20 centimeters from 3,600 mm to 3,400 millimeters, and the total width will decrease by 100 millimeters. This reduction in dimensions will allow the cars to be faster in changing direction, but could also make them more difficult to handle, especially in extreme conditions. This change also means that drivers will need more refined skills to control the car, which could make the races more challenging and technical, putting greater emphasis on the individual skill of each driver. Regarding the weight of the cars, the FIA has decided to reduce the minimum weight by 30 kilograms, dropping from the current 798 kilograms to 768 kilograms. This weight reduction, combined with adjustments to aerodynamics and dimensions, aims to create a more agile car, which is quicker in changes of direction and more responsive to the driver's decisions. The weight reduction could also lead to less tire wear, which would change pit stop strategy and how drivers manage their resources during the race. From 2026, DRS will be replaced by a completely new and much more sophisticated system, active aerodynamics. This concept marks a before and after in the technical approach of the category. Unlike DRS, which only affected the rear wing and worked under certain race conditions, active aerodynamics will allow drivers to change the aerodynamic behavior of an entire car in real time during any part of the lap without depending on another car in front. Therefore, engineers are extremely concerned about the dynamic behavior during these transitions. Teams like Ferrari and Mercedes are already doing simulations and tests with mule cars, hybrid prototypes that mount the new spoilers on current chassis to study how the car reacts to these transitions. The objective is to ensure that the two ends of the car act as a single system, without gaps that compromise the stability of the vehicle. To achieve this, 3 key structural changes have been proposed. First, the wheelbase will be shortened by 200 millimeters from the current 3,600 millimeters to 3,400 millimeters. This reduction may seem small at first glance, but it has a direct and significant impact on turning capacity and speed of direction changes. The shorter the distance between the front and rear axles, the easier the car can turn, which translates into more reactive behavior in tight corners. In other words, the cars of 2026 will be able to turn faster, change direction with greater agility, but they will also be more nervous, more delicate, and more demanding of the driver in extreme conditions. Second, the overall width of the car will drop from 2,000 mm to 1,900 millimeters. This goes hand in hand with the intention of facilitating overtaking on narrow tracks such as Monaco, Hungaroring, or Zandvoort. Narrower cars not only allow more space between lines, they also generate less lateral turbulence, which helps reduce the dreaded dirty air that has made wheel-to-wheel duels difficult in recent years. In addition, by having less frontal surface, they also contribute to lower air resistance, which complements the efficiency philosophy that the FIA wants to implement. Third, the car's maximum floor width will be reduced by 150 millimeters, which represents a profound modification to how the car interacts with airflow under the chassis. This is a key decision, since from 2022 Formula 1 reintroduced ground effect as an aerodynamic pillar, using the floor of the car to generate downforce in a cleaner and less turbulent way. By reducing the width of the floor, the effect is preserved, but it becomes more delicate to handle. A smaller surface means less margin for error in the configuration of the ride height and in the management of aerodynamic pressure peaks in high-speed areas. This will mean that engineers will have to be more careful when setting up, and that drivers will need even more sensitivity to interpret what the car is doing in each corner. Added to these physical changes is another crucial element, the reduction of the mandatory minimum weight. In 2026, the cars must weigh at least 768 kilograms, that is 30 kilograms less than the current 798 kilograms. This is the first time in years that Formula 1 takes a step back in the weight of the cars, breaking with an upward trend caused by the incorporation of batteries, hybrid systems, and increasingly demanding safety structures. Reducing weight in a car is not just a matter of pure performance. Improves braking capacity, reduces tire wear, improves energy efficiency, and most importantly makes the car more responsive, more reactive, and more challenging. Furthermore, there is a strategic aspect that should not be overlooked. Smaller, lighter cars also mean less space to integrate complex components, especially when it comes to the hybrid system. The removal of the MGU-H simplifies this task somewhat, but the increased capability of the MGU-K, along with the active aerodynamic system and necessary electronic wiring, represents a considerable packaging challenge for engineers. Key here will be the efficiency of internal design, how to fit all the parts into a more compact space without compromising cooling, center of gravity, or ease of maintenance. But the discontent is not limited to the car's behavior. Many drivers are questioning the philosophical direction of Formula 1. Since its inception, F1 has been a pinnacle of pure performance, a category where speed, sound, danger, and physical demands created a unique experience. With the advent of electrification, the FIA's focus seems to increasingly point towards sustainability, energy efficiency, and integration with the automotive industry of the future. Something that, although necessary in many aspects, for some drivers is beginning to erode the original essence of a championship that an internal debate has also been generated about the security of these new systems. The fact that the wings change configuration mid-turn, that the electric motor delivers so much power at once, and that aerodynamic balance depends on perfect synchronization between front and rear wings makes many pilots wonder what will happen when something goes wrong. A software error, calibration failure, or mode transition interruption could result in a complete loss of high-speed stability. And in Formula 1, these types of mistakes are not forgiven. The 2026 rules are designed to mark a new era. But like any revolution, it brings with it resistance, fear, and a sense of loss. Because while it is true that Formula One has always been about evolution, it is also true that every time it has strayed too far from its soul, it has run the risk of losing what makes it unique. And in this case, it is the pilots themselves who are saying it out loud. Subscribe to continue uploading more of that content. Now you really think about all this.